The whistle looped back, fainter but alive, a promise it wasn't done. "That thing's got a temper,"
Aye,
Silas said, straightening his hat.
and it's not finished with us.
The silence after the Wraith's charge was a lie. Thick, heavy, the kind that presses on your chest and dares you to breathe. I stood there, mud-caked on my hands, the pink gown hanging off me in tatters, its lace shredded like some fairy tale gone to hell. Silas loomed beside me, his hat crooked, chest heaving under that dark waistcoat, his grip still ghosting my arm. The whistle lingered, faint but alive, a thread of sound weaving through the trees, promising it wasn't done with us. I wasn't done either, though my legs shook and my gut screamed to crawl back through that damn waygate, if it had even let me. Curiosity's a bastard, and it had me by the throat. "That was too close," I said, wiping mud on what was left of the gown. My voice came out thinner than I wanted, but I straightened, faking steady. "What's its problem?" Silas adjusted his hat, eyes flicking to the tracks where the Wraith had vanished.
Iron Wraith don't need a reason. It runs. It reaps. Been that way since I was a lad.
"Charming," I muttered, kicking a loose stone. It clattered against a wreck, the sound swallowed by the forest's hush. The hulks around us, twisted train cars, rusted and vine-choked, felt like a warning, their jagged edges glinting under the gas lamp's weak glow. I fingered the DS-13 disc in my pocket, its cracked weight a question I couldn't answer. Something tied this place to my basement, to those papers I'd skimmed back home, but I was too deep in the weeds to see it clear. "It's coming back, isn't it?"
Aye?
Silas said, voice low and rough. His jaw tightened, a flicker of something raw crossing his face, and I felt it, that ache of loss. Mine's less noble, shady X's, burned bridges, but I knew the taste. "D34, you got anything useful?" I whispered, brushing the pendant. It hummed, warm against my skin.
Auditory pattern repeating.
It buzzed, flat as ever.
Source proximity variable. Insufficient data for countermeasure.
"Love the optimism," I growled. Silas shot me that arched brow look again, and I waved it off. Still talking to myself. Keeps me sane.
If that's sanity, I'd hate to see madness.
He said, a smirk tugging his lip. He stepped to a wreck, brushing vines aside, and I followed, the gown snagging on every damn thing. The air stank of rust and rot, sharp and sour, and the whistle crept back, slow, deliberate, a hound sniffing us out. My pulse kicked up, a drumbeat I couldn't quiet. "We can't just wait for it," I said, scanning the clearing. "It's got a pattern. Tracks, wrecks, that sound. There's a way to stop it." Silas glanced at me, eyes dark and doubting.
Folk have tried. Priests, smiths, madmen. None walked away. What's a lass like you got that they didn't?
"Stubbornness," I said, grinning despite the chill, "and a knack for breaking things that don't play nice." I didn't know squat about ghost trains, but I'd bluffed my way through worse. Dodgy gigs, pushy clients. This was bigger, uglier, but the game felt the same. Find the weak spot, hit it hard. He grunted, maybe a laugh, and pointed down the tracks.
Last time it struck, I heard it linger, near that old signal box, half a league on. Might be something there.
"Worth a shot," I said, and we moved, the forest pressing in as we went. The lamps dimmed, their light swallowed by pines black as pitch, dripping needles that stung my bare arms. Hours bled away, hard to tell how many, with the sky a bruised purple, no sun to mark the clock. The whistle grew steadier, a rhythm I felt in my bones, and my neck tingled, the reality anchor counting down 24 hours I couldn't track. Silas didn't talk much, just led, his shoulders a wall against the gloom, and I didn't mind the quiet, or the view. The signal box loomed ahead, a rusted shack, its wooden arm splintered, lever jammed at an angle. Vines choked it, and the tracks ran clean through, humming faint and alive. The whistle sharpened, close now, and the air shimmered again, that heat-haze ripple I'd learned to dread. "It's coming," I said, voice tight. Silas nodded, hand flexing like he wished for a blade.
Lever might slow it. Worked once. threw it off for a spell.
Let's try, I said, lunging for the box. I gripped the lever, rust flaking under my palms, and yanked. It stuck, groaning, and Silas threw his weight in, muscles straining under his shirt. It gave with a screech, snapping down, and the tracks vibrated, hard, angry, too late. The shimmer thickened, and the Wraith roared into view, iron and steam, jagged and wrong, bigger than before, its whistle a banshee's scream that clawed my ears. D34 now, I snapped. The pendant buzzed, stretching into that flat disc again, a foot wide, a toy against this beast. I shoved Silas behind it, planting my feet as the Wraith hit. Wind tore at me, shredding the gown's sleeves, and the disc shook, cracking at the edge. Metal shrieked, deafening, and I felt the Wraith's weight, not just air, but will, a hunger that wanted us gone. It passed, vanishing into the trees, but the lever snapped back up, undone, and the whistle looped, mocking us. I dropped the disc, panting, and it shrank to a pendant, humming smug like it had done its job. Damn it, I gasped, hands trembling. Mud streaked my arms and the gown hung in rags, barely covering me now. Silas cursed, kicking the box, his hat tumbling off.
Useless.
He spat, snatching it up.
Slowed it once, years back. Not now.
It's tougher, I said, catching my breath. Smarter, maybe. That lever's not the key. My mind raced, grasping at straws. The Rex, the whistle, that DS-13 disc, pieces of a puzzle I couldn't fit. The Wraith wasn't just a ghost. It was a machine with teeth, and we'd barely scratched it. D34, what went wrong? I hissed.
Countermeasure insufficient.
It buzzed.
Energy signature complex. Additional components required.
Components? I muttered. Speak English, Tin Man.
Further analysis needed.
It said, unhelpful as ever. Silas watched me, brow furrowed, but I shook my head. Explaining D34 wasn't worth the breath. We're missing something, I said, staring down the tracks. Rex didn't stop it. Lever didn't either. Where's it coming from? Silas raked a hand through his hair, dark strands falling loose.
Crow's Hollow might know. Folk there whisper of it. Old tales, mad scribblings. Could be a hint.
Then we dig, I said, voice firm despite the quake in my gut. The whistle wailed again, distant but alive, and I knew we were running out of tricks. The Wraith was hunting, and we were the prey. Two fools with no plan, chasing ghosts in a world I didn't belong to. But I'd be damned if I let it win without a fight. The whistle chased us out of the clearing, a low, hungry thread weaving through the pines, mocking our failure. I trudged beside Silas, the pink gown hanging off me in rags, sleeves gone, hem shredded, a fairy tale turned horror flick. Mud streaked my arms and my slippers squelched with every step, but I kept moving jaw tight, the DS-13 disc a cold weight in my pocket. The Wraith had kicked our asses twice now, and I wasn't keen on a third round without a better play. Silas led, his waistcoat scuffed, hat jammed low over dark eyes that burned with something fiercer than fear. We'd tried the lever, tried running, nothing stuck. Crow's Hollow was our last shot, and I hoped to hell it had more than whispers and dust.
Town's no sanctuary.
Silas said, voice rough as we hit the road.
Folk there fear the Wraith worse than death. Say it's a reaper come to claim what's owed.
Great, I muttered, swatting a branch. Guess we're crashing the party uninvited. The gas lamps flickered, weaker now, their glow swallowed by a sky gone bruise purple. Hours had bled away. How many of my 24 I couldn't tell, but my neck tingled. The reality anchor ticking like a bomb I couldn't see. The forest thinned, and Crow's Hollow rose from the mist. A clutch of stone hovels, chimneys coughing black soot, streets narrow and crooked. Locals shuffled past, faces hollow, eyes darting like they'd seen too much and said too little. The whistle wailed, distant but alive, and heads ducked, doors slammed. Welcoming bunch. Silas steered us to a squat tavern, its sign creaking. The Hollow Nail. Inside stank of stale ale and sweat, the air thick with murmurs that died when we walked in. Rough-hewn tables held a scattering of men, beards gray, hands gnarled, nursing mugs like lifelines. Silas leaned on the bar, bartering with a crone behind it, rags for a voice, teeth long gone. I hung back, the gown's tatters drawing stares I ignored, fingering D34 at my throat. It hummed faint, a comfort I didn't trust.
She's got a book.
Silas said, returning with a leather-bound thing, cracked and stained.
Old Tinker's scribblings. Knew the Wraith afore it took him.
Better than nothing, I said, snagging it. The crone watched, eyes sharp, and I felt her gaze like a blade on my back. We slid to a corner table, the wood scarred, and I flipped the book open.